How's it going, Sat? Obviously the news or the question is kind of about the quarterback decision. When do you guys want to have a definite, this guy's gonna take the ball? What is the day that you want to have a definite starter in place?
Sooner rather than later, but I think that we're doing our due diligence right now just to make sure that we're getting as much information on these guys as we possibly can. This yesterday was a week for Zeb playing quarterback, so just giving it time to see how his reps, how they turn out, and continuing to push JB. JB and Colton both had one of their best weeks this past week, so and then getting Luke's out of his cast now. He's back, so we want to see kind of where he goes and his availability before we just rush to judgment, rush to a decision.
Yeah, you just mentioned it, and Shane mentioned it yesterday that Jason has had his best week of practice. What has been different about him? What's made y'all feel that way?
The scrimmage the other night, it was one of his best outings, just in and out, utilizing our tempos, calling the plays, having understanding of the plays, his mobility. He was playing fast. He was processing fast. He was getting rid of the ball. He took care of the ball. All those things that he had been building up to finally came to fruition Saturday night at the scrimmage, and he had a really, really good night, and he's just continued to just get better and better the more reps that he's gotten.
Do you believe in the concept of a gamer in that a guy can perform better in a game than he does on a practice field?
Well, practice is everything. That's the mindset that we have. But I do think there are guys out there that may look a certain way in practice at times. You just throw them out in a game, and then something happens, and they just start moving the field and moving the ball, and whether it be a receiver, a running back, O-line, whatever it is, an O-lineman pass proing. So I think that there is a little bit of that out there. I know that practice, I don't want my mentors to shun me if I don't say this, but I mean, practice is everything, and you got to practice to play. But there are guys out there that when the lights come on, they have a certain capability to hit a switch and get to another level, both mentally and physically. It's
apples to oranges, admittedly, but did you see any of that with Jason in the spring game versus what you had seen in the spring practices?
I did not, no.
Okay.
I saw it more in the spring practices. Just, again, his body has changed, his mindset. He's always been a great teammate. He's always been a competitor, but you can just tell he's more comfortable in this offense and the decision-making, the processing, and at the line of scrimmage and the things we ask him to do. He's able to do it a lot faster and a lot more natural now than he was doing in the spring and even in the spring game.
If you're ranking quarterback characteristics and you can build a video game character and he's 95 of this and whatever, what's your list? Where do you start?
Start with the arm talent. I think you have to have the arm talent and the natural throwing motion. Obviously, you can't teach a kid at this level you're not trying to teach them to throw. They already know how to do that. And then the mobility, you got to be mobile and you got to have the ability to extend play, especially in this league. If you don't, you can't just sit back there. You'll die. Not literally, obviously, but you'll get hit.
Right.
And you'll get sacked. So just arm talent, mobility, extend the play, and then just have a brain for processing and be able to process a play and react as the play flashes before him. So,
is accuracy or strength more when you're arm talent?
Accuracy. Note Chad Pennington. Remember Chad Pennington?
Yeah.
His was accuracy and anticipation. If you can anticipate windows and you're accurate, you don't have to have a strong arm. You can put the ball wherever you want it.
Mark Shane was saying yesterday that the offense has turned the ball over a little bit too much maybe in the month of August. Is there something from a coaching perspective y'all can do to cut down on those, or is that something where the guys just have to execute and hold on to the ball and make a decision?
I think it's just it's a mixture of executing, constantly doing ball security, watching it in film, calling it out in front of their peers, putting pressure on them. The ball was definitely, up until this week, turned over way too much. I think that in the last 10 days we've done a really good job of flipping that narrative, and our guys have thanks for asking that question and jinxing it, but our guys have done a really nice job of taking care of the football and really paying attention to the details of how we secure and carry the ball, and the quarterbacks are not just throwing the ball up in the middle of the field for somebody other than our guys to catch.
Marcus, obviously it's been, I guess, now, a week or so since Zeb joined the group. What's kind of gone into integrating him? I know it's kind of a weird time to be doing that, and the whole situation's just kind of little different. But what, from like your guys' perspective as coaches, what goes into integrating him into the room as best you guys can in a couple of weeks?
The hardest thing was for us as coaches, just because he had been with us for 3 months, and so to flip the script of where Zeb's now a player, not a coach, for me was really weird. When he come to the first quarterback meeting, I'm used to being Zeb, the guy that I'm making go do a bunch of go get copies, go get coffee, go do this, like flip it to being a player. As far as the scheme and the knowledge of the system, he just was plugged right in. I mean, he already had a really good grasp. He's a coach's son. He's a quarterback. He's played a lot of football. He's been in a lot of systems. So the scheme has not been that big of a deal for him. It's just, I think, just the coach-player relationship, getting that to where it needs to be, has taken a couple days. But I think it's getting to where I got after him a little bit today, and that was fun for me, just to take it out on him. And he responds well to tough coaching. So
I take it he didn't bring coffee to the quarterback's room this morning?
Not today. Not today. We got on him. We were like, hey, man, you still have your weekly GA duties for each opponent. Don't think that you get out of all these drawings and stuff. So we're going to keep him busy.
And you mentioned him being a coach's son. I asked Shane this yesterday, but you're a coach's son, Shane's a coach's son, Zeb, same deal. I guess just why do you think that helps? And I guess in Zeb's situation, why do you think that might help him be able to process information, be a quarterback, all that?
I think you're just, if you're a coach's son, a lot of times you live in the gym, you live in the coach's office. You've been brought up, and that's basically been your life. I think that there's a certain toughness. When you're a coach's son, you have to hear about how, good or bad your father is, and in the stands and in the city, in the town, and I think you just develop a toughness about you, both mentally and physically, but more mentally, just having the psychological mental toughness to go out there and compete and not really be fazed by a lot. And then naturally, you're around football your whole life, so football naturally comes natural to you.
Marcus, with Luke being out, with Kevin being out, being a new offense, is there anything that you've had to kind of hold back from installing right now, or saying we can't do this in week one, maybe later in the season, or have you had to kind of just scale back what you want to do at the end of it?
A little bit. We put everything in the spring, and we've continued to load them up. So now we're to the point where, hey, we were able to do this. This put it in a pie graph. We do this third really well, so this is what we're going to focus on. They know all the other stuff. If we need to implement that later on, we're able to do that because it won't be something that they've just hearing for the first time. But we have scaled back a little bit. I don't know if it's because of the injuries. I think it's just the common sense of this is what we can actually execute at a certain level, winning level.
Marcus, with there no longer being any scrimmages left during camp, and I know you guys are probably rapidly approaching getting into opponent preparation, has this week really been, trying to get as much 11 on 11 as you can just to assist in your guys' evaluation of the quarterbacks? Yeah,
and the way that we practice, even we're doing trying to execute a mock game week just because we've never been together this week. But the way that Coach Beamer has it set up, when he talks about competition as a core value in this organization, it's not just words, as he would say, not just words on a wall. Like, we compete good versus good on Tuesday. We compete good versus good on Wednesday. So we've had 2 really good days going against the defense, and whether it be team blitz, team run, just move the ball 11 on 11, 2-minute, things of that nature. We're always constantly iron sharpening iron, going against each other, being smart, of course, in a game week, but we never want to lose that edge of competition. So we've been able to get some good reps and evaluations.
And a non-quarterback question for you: how would you describe the progress of Jahim Bell?
I got on him a little bit yesterday because he had a drop, and it was a tough catch, and that let him affect how he was moving forward the next play. And I was talking to him today about just, Jahim, you can't let that affect the next play. And he was like, Coach, I don't want to drop a ball like that it's too important to me. I can't drop a ball. And that's his mindset now. I think he's just so focused on being the best Jahim he can be. Just a little thing like dropping or not making that catch drove him absolutely insane. And so learn how to compartmentalize that and move on is something we're working on. But I really love his mindset, his flexibility, the things we're able to do with him. He can play multiple positions, and he's very, very explosive with the ball in his hand.
Marcus, when will you start introducing Eastern Illinois to the offense from an installation perspective?
We've started a little bit this week already. We don't want to go 2 weeks on we don't want to go 2 weeks on an opponent. So we're still we have certain aspects of practice going against Eastern Illinois, and then certain aspects are just fixing and making sure that South Carolina offense is ready to roll when game one comes around. But we definitely moving into next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we'll be 100% both feet in.
Yeah, Shane mentioned yesterday Juju's going to play a lot in this offense and on special teams. As a guy who's a freshman who's only been here for a couple months, how do you balance trying to get him on the field as much as possible while also knowing that he's a freshman and trying to maybe not limit his mental load, but know that he's still trying to kind of learn the offense?
Just give him a role, make sure that each game plan he knows exactly what he's responsible for and where he's going to be utilized. He's a very special kid, a lot like Jahim. He's a South Georgia kid. Football is important to him. He's has a high football IQ. You can tell him, hey, do A, B, and C, and he can do it. He can replicate it without ever repping it one time. And he's special. And as long as he stays focused and continues to work like he's doing, I think he's got a chance to have a really good season this season, whether he's a freshman or not.
How'd Kevin Harris look today?
He looked good. Got some individual time with him, some backfield, some run timing with the quarterbacks, and I didn't even realize that he was in there. And we ran a rep. And I was like, I had to double take and see him. So he looks good, and he's got a big old smile on his face, and you can tell that he's ready to roll. He's just waiting for somebody to cut the chain loose and go.
No contact.
No, not today.
From an offensive line standpoint, what do you feel best about right now, and what do you feel like needs to come along going into the opener?
We've put a huge emphasis on pass protection the last 2 weeks, and Coach Beamer's formatted practice a couple periods to really hone in on the offensive line and the protection and everything, and for the defense to get pass rush. And I think we made a huge jump in pass pro in the last 10 days. But that's the one thing that we have to just keep every single day working to be the best we can be at pass pro, and whoever's playing quarterback, give them a chance to get rid of the ball. As far as the run game and things like, I think they're really good at the things that we're doing offensively in the run game, and they're going to give us a chance, and they've got to be, because that's, with those running backs, that running back room we've got to give them a chance to help us win games, and I think they're going to do that. But long-winded answer, pass pro.
I'm sure having Kevin would maybe adjust the answer, but what will be the philosophy with the running back rotation this season, just kind of generally speaking?
That's we have a unique situation where, one, we need to make sure that if they're practicing and competing and they give us a chance to be successful, they're out on the field, not standing on the sideline. Like, we can't have those guys on the sideline and other guys on the field that may not be as productive as those guys just because we think there's only one back that's supposed to be out there. We need to make sure that we format our offense to where as many of those guys, right, as long as it's allowing us success, can be on the field, they're on the field and not standing over there on the sideline with Coach Beamer. But the competition, like, you have to come to work every single day. You got to take care of the football. You got to know and do your job. And if you do that, then you'll have a chance to play. But, I mean, you slip 1 or 2 days in that room, you can go from 1 to 3, 1 to 4 pretty quick.
Would it be safe to label it as by committee, or would you, in a perfect world, have a guy who really establishes himself on?
I mean, in a perfect world, I want a guy. I don't really want to be the whole, hey, whoever has the hot. I want a guy that works his off during the week. He's dependable, he's productive, and he runs the football. And these two guys work their rear ends off during the week, and they have a role in this game plan. And when they're called upon, they execute it. And if something happens to running back A, then running back B is able to step up and do the same thing. But I think, I don't want to have running back by committee when I've got a really good running back that can be a 150, 175-yard rusher, and he rushes for 75 because we're going by committee, and he gets 3 possessions in the first half. So compete and get out there.
I'm probably putting you on the spot, but who would you name offensive player of preseason camp?
Name offensive player, like the MVP?
Yes.
I don't really feel comfortable answering that question. I think there's a lot of them. They've all, had their moments. They're all, offensive linemen. There's a couple of those guys just as important as DK. There's a couple of freaking receivers that are out there just as important, tight ends. So, I think they've all just collectively had a really good camp, but I definitely wouldn't want to name one at this point. Good question, though.
Marcus, I think EJ was in a non-contact jersey. Just what's his status and how's he at injury health-wise?
He's getting back day by day, fighting, and I think hopefully he's ready to roll by next week. He looked good today running around. I mean, we're just trying to be cautious, make sure that nothing crazy happens out there that's not needed.
And you kind of touched on it, but with Juju, obviously he's a freshman, but for a guy like that in a room like he's in, I guess just what is it that he's done to be able to make the impact he has early and so far through camp? I guess just why has he been able to be one of these guys that we hear about all the time?
He's fearless. He's hyper competitive. He's very athletic. He's very, very, very as competitive as he is. He's probably one of the top 3 competitive kids on our team. He's tougher than he is competitive. They throw in the football intelligence and talk about competitive greatness rising to the occasion when you're called upon. Like every chance that he's had a chance to shine, he's shined. And he, again, knows what he's supposed to be doing, and he gets out there and he executes, and he's just one of those guys that makes plays. We're lucky to have him.
Marcus, the name of the game in college football today is kind of explosive plays. What have you seen from the receiving group and whoever's at quarterback through the course of camp that makes you feel confident that this is an offense going to be able to stretch the field in the vertical passing game?
Well, we have to. In the last, early on the first week, the defense got after us in the first scrimmage. Then we came back last week. I think the coaches we were hard on our guys. We pressed our guys. I think our guys saw what happened in that first scrimmage, and I think they worked really hard to come back in the second scrimmage and do some really good things and create some explosives. So I know that explosives and taking care of the football, the toxic differential, that's how you win football games. We're definitely going to put our guys in position to have a chance to execute and create explosives. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it. But they've shown in the last couple of days to be able to do that, and had a good day today. And again, it was 7-on-7, not real football, but we put them in some competitive catch situations, and our guys were able to go up and make some plays today, which was really good to see.
Marcus, I know we still have a week and a half, but come next Saturday, are there any positions from your standpoint at this point that you could anticipate, you running a couple of series with one guy at a particular position and then trying someone else behind him, or maybe it's an or situation on the depth chart? Is there any positions at this point you kind of anticipate really sort of getting them in the game and engaging how they handle things?
I think, it's just the obvious, the quarterback, and then like right now, like the running backs are always competing to see who's going to get the reps and get the carries. So I'd say those 2 positions are the ones that, may have some guys that have different roles that we're going into a game, even next Saturday, just not really sure who's going to get the most reps, but we're going to give an opportunity to get reps and then let it grow from there.
Marcus, how much of the Eastern Illinois game plan is already built, and how much will it change after this weekend, getting to watch them play a little bit?
0. There's not one play on the board for Eastern Illinois. We know that the types of plays we're going to run, and we're anticipating the types of defenses and pressures and coverages we're going to get. So we were able to work on that again a little bit this week, but we'll start putting the actual formatting the plays and stuff this weekend and start building the game plan.